It marks a regime that is allergic to criticism. It marks a regime that is dictatorial. It marks of a regime that they think about themselves. The regime led by the worst of citizens. This is the regime. Why do you forget these things?
Are you ready to witness such in court? Should he sue you?
Let him sue me. I'll be happy to be to be sued by him. Where is the money? Where is the money that comes from these borrowings? Why don't they reflect in the normal annual accounts?
From his end, he believes it's because of his bigger thinking that is sort of his friends find that allergic.
I would say humongous appetite for things that don't belong to him. He has very sticky fingers. When he sees something that does not belong to him, he starts sweating and salivating.
And you just in time for Richard Mwenja exclusive. The month is November, the year of our Lord 2024. Always a distinct privilege to have your company with us. I'm Richard Mwenja. Welcome to the conversation. And as usual, today I have your favorite think tank, former Minister Honorable Kipruto Arap here with me to help bring home the day's conversation, matters that are of importance to you as a citizen at large, especially at a time when so much is happening in our country. A lot of issues in the political and governance arena, and having such people who've seen it all in town helps us make better decisions as citizens. Kipruto Arap, welcome on board.
Well, thank you. It's always my pleasure to appreciate your invitation.
All right.
And also to appreciate that God is giving us a life for us to see what's happening. And in some extent also influence the decision that Kenyans are going to make in the next 3 years. Yeah.
Receive credit from our diaspora audience who say that they are away from home, but they feel you are in town and literally taking concern with what's happening in the country. You are doing that on their behalf because they're far away.
Well, that is great, and I do want to appreciate, because it is not just them making the statement. I've realized for the 4 years I was out of the country, at times you want to know what's happening in your country, and you want to know the pulse rate of the nation and how best you can make a contribution. They have a huge contribution to make, apart from the remittances, the experience they have. If the government of the day knew how to harness their capacity, we can achieve a lot more than is the case today.
Great.
I have in mind this housing, affordable housing. If there was some design to have a model that is going to assist those in their diaspora to own homes back here. It's a question of taking statistics. How many people would want to own some home in Kitale? And once you get the requisite number, you identify a suitable place, you build, and people buy into the idea. How many of them in Kisii? How many of them in Nyeri? Because in future, many of our people will not be staying in the farm the way we are staying. They will prefer where all amenities are there, whether it's health service, whether it's water, whether it's electricity, whether it is infrastructure, both in terms of roads and the sewerage system. People would want certain conveniences having lived abroad. And in the intervening period, they can rent to those who are in Kenya. So these are some of the models that I wish the administration of the day would have looked at that, spend billions of shillings, sell a product that is ready, so that somebody doesn't have to wait for his money to earn him more money. And that product will assist even the parents here with the remittance that they have been getting directly from abroad. They get it through some kind of rental income from the houses. That's the way I look at it.
I see. Fair enough. Let's kickstart our conversation with revelations from the truthful man of God, the son of Mamau, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. This far he's come forth and say that he's going to offer political direction for the people of Mount Kenya soon enough. And I want to understand, he's out of office, but oftentimes he's gone on record saying he's still going to be a decisive factor when it comes to national leadership in this country. But then again, look at it. Is he trying to exaggerate his abilities out of illusion by saying he's going to offer direction for the people of Mount Kenya?
Well, there are a number of ways that you can look at our good friend Rigathi Gachagua. I'm yet to pronounce him as former deputy president because we still got the due process of the law. If for some reason a court of law was to annul all the 5 grounds against which he was impeached, then we'll create another constitutional crisis. As I've said before, it's like getting to somebody's home because the father has been away for 2 years, and some people said he was rumored to have died in the war. And now he decided to inherit the wife, only for the man of the home to arrive in the afternoon when you are in somebody's house. At times, I respect Kindiki and I trust him, but the process he has been taken through has tarnished some of the shining stars on his armor. It worries me, and I feel we have a constitutional moment. Let's watch this space and let us go through the due process. But focused on Rigathi Gachagua, the politician, there are a number of things that have happened to him. Instantly, he has risen to national fame. People have known him, certain credentials that we did not know him, that he has the courage, the stamina, and the tenacity with which he can face an opponent. Those 3 attributes cannot be said without respecting the person who happens to have them. The second issue that we need to know is that the constituency that is unhappy about his impeachment is a constituency that we need to manage their anger and galvanize it into tangible votes for purposes of whoever Rigathi Gachagua will support or whoever direction is going to be part of. Because I'm not saying he's a supporter. It's part of a leadership that must be harnessed as a people of Kenya. And if we carefully calibrate our steps and harness the goodwill that we have today, Rigathi Gachagua is going to have the last laugh. Yeah. He may do what Ian Kama did in Botswana, where the sitting president plundered the country, made so many mistakes, never cared about the people, evicted him out of Botswana. The guy was living literally in South Africa, except in the last 6 weeks on the eve of elections. He came and he rooted the guy out of power. Out of 60 positions in parliament, the sitting president got only 4. 56 went to the other parties.
Look, Waziri, the ever-change in the political dynamics notwithstanding, we are still seeing a section of Kenya Kwanza members of parliament come publicly and say Moi did without the Kikuyus for 24 years, the Kikuyu vote. Even now, Ruto can do away without the Mount Kenya bloc when it comes to 2027 politics. How true or right could they be about that?
No, first of all, that's very arrogant. We cannot refer to a community in such derogatory terms that we can do away with them.
With their vote.
Or we can do without them. Because you see, the essence of democracy has 3 components. Issues of informed decision, issues of accommodation and inclusivity, and issues of giving somebody a chance to be part of a program. And therefore, any statement that is made that you can do away with the Kikuyu, first of all, their numbers are huge. 26% of the voting bloc. And in terms of economy, they control more than 50% of the African GDP. I've said that before, and I stand to see somebody doubting that. Most of the small industries, they are owned by the community. So you cannot just wish them away.
So it's foolhardy for anyone to write them off.
It's foolhardy and it's also myopic. I don't want to use any heavy word. It's myopic. Secondly, we are operating under different constitutional dispensation. Today, you have to win 25 counties. You have to win at least 25% of 24 counties. You have to win 50% of all the votes cast plus 1 vote. The constitution that President Moi operated was simple majority. And remember, out of the 24 years he was the president, he operated under the constitution of 2 term and where he went through elections. President Moi was never subjected to elections for 14 years. It's only the last 10 years that was subjected to election and a constitutional dispensation that required simple majority. And in the first 1992 election, if my memory serves me right, he got only about 32% of the votes. The rest went to Kibaki, Matiba, Mzee Jaramogi, and other candidates whose mention may not really amount to much. So 66% or over 66% of Kenyans did not vote for President Moi in 1992. 97, the same, simple majority. But under this constitution, I think people suffer from lack of grounded historical events. No wonder President Ruto does not believe history is a subject that should be taught at the university. He does not respect history. He does not respect the past. He believes that the only way you can do is to drop the friends that you've had, start with new friends, and start manipulating them. Yeah.
That is his modus operandi.
That's his modus operandi. Tell me, the friends they started together, where are they? Where is Fred Amayo? Where is Cyrus Jidongo? Where is Raymond Bomet? Where is Sam Nyamwea? Where is Abdurrahman Bafadil? Those are his friends.
From his end, he believes it's because of his bigger thinking that he's sort of, his friends find that allergic.
I would say humongous appetite for things that don't belong to him. He has very sticky fingers. When he sees something that does not belong to him, he starts sweating and salivating. Whether it's property, money, or any other, he may be akin to the man of Equatorial Guinea.
If indeed your allegations are true, EACC could have gone for his neck. But this far, he hasn't been taken to court over such.
He was taken to court here. Why do you forget? Well, over this land, over the land that he gave to Kenya Pipeline.
And if indeed he was guilty, he will be in jail by now.
How many people are out of jail? Not because of technicalities. How about the processional way? He returned the titles 2003. How about Adani? Don't you know that local subsidiary, he has some interest? How about Shisha? How about issues of G2G? How about poisoned cooking oil? Why do you forget these things?
Are you ready to witness such in court? Should he sue you?
Let him sue me. I'll be happy to be to be sued by him. Where is the money? Where is the money that comes from these borrowings? Why don't they reflect in the normal annual accounts? I would not need to do much. I just need to get the report of Controller and Auditor General.
Some would say,
and that will be my evidence.
Some would say Kirwa is overstepping his mandate when it comes to oversight because you're in opposition. You're overdoing it.
I'm not overdoing it. I'm just mentioning as it. You have provoked me to tell you the things that I did not even think of them in the morning.
Fair enough. We shall slate that for a conversation and talk about graft in this country. Let's circle back to Rigathi Gachagua. He has implored his supporters not to go to streets, to protest in the streets as a show of rage and anger with what befell him, rather to take refuge in song and dance as a conduit to express their concerns. Over the last weeks, we've seen patriotic songs from people like Joseph Kamaru, songs of the 80s and 90s rent the air. And some believe that Rigathi Gachagua is using this tactic to carve the statesman's brand. No violence person, not believing in anarchy and all those things. Is that true?
Well, I know the Kikuyu community are very peaceful people until you provoke them. You remember, they never had any problems with the British for quite some time. Until they were told, don't plant coffee, don't start your own schools. That is when they realized that these guys, we've assisted them in the Second World War. When we come back, they want to subjugate us to a position lower than theirs. That is when the fight for independence started. Among the Kikuyu people. And when they move, they are not relenting. And they are not cowards. So I'm happy they have chosen the path to peaceful change in Kenya.
Song and dance and all that.
Song and dance. And I'm told at midnight there is a very interesting national anthem. I don't go to those bars, but one of these days I may go incognito so that I also enjoy that patriotic moment.
And there's a bill in town to suppress such people chanting anti-government slogans, whether through song and dance or even going for street protests. Look at the bill sponsored by Ruto, Member of Parliament. Look, try to curtail how demonstrations are done, or at least customize how they are done. Is that emasculation of democracy?
Ruto should be told he does not need a lawyer. Let me just tell him, as a lawmaker for 20 years, I think he's doing his first term. Let me tell him, as a lawmaker for 20 years, the hierarchy of laws are clear. The Constitution is the main stem. Acts of Parliament are the branches. Various regulations issued by county governments or by ministers are supposed to be the twigs. And the leaves are normal issues that you pass almost every other day about certain regulations within certain local environment. You cannot have a law that will go against the Constitution. That law will be taken to court and it will be said to be null and void ab initio.
Regardless of the numbers that Kenya Kwanza has in Parliament, don't you think this anti-government, anti-demonstration bill is going to sail through?
It will sail through, but it will be taken to court and it will be annulled. And it will be said null and void ab initio to the extent of its inconsistency with the Constitution. He doesn't need a lawyer. I can offer that paralegal service to him. Yeah, he's going to embarrass himself. Yeah.
Did you find there to be a hidden handwriting behind that bill, Anti-Demonstrations Bill 2024?
Well, it's
besides the handwriting of Ruku.
It marks a regime that is allergic to criticism. It marks a regime that is dictatorial. It marks of a regime that they think about themselves. The regime led by the worst of citizens. This is the regime.
This is the regime?
Don't look for another one. There is no regime that will be as worse as this. And I've lived through at least 4 when I was a grown-up. Mzee Kenyatta died when I was in Form 2. But I saw part of that regime, perhaps not more than 10 years, because I was still young and partly I was in Tanzania. President Moi was there for 24 years. I saw it.
Let's shift gears from Mount Kenya bloc.
Yes, then come to Kibaki. I saw it. Come to Uhuru. I saw it. Every regime at its own dark moments. But there is nothing can be compared with this regime. And I don't think any regime will be worse than this.
No regime will come close to the dark highlights of this regime?
No, just take it to the bank. It will be paid.
It remains to be seen. It remains to be seen.
Yep.
Let's cross over to Western Bloc, now that we are done conversing about the Mount Kenya bloc and issues arising from that particular part.
Yeah.
When it comes to Western Kenya, they are also angling for the presidential seat in the near future. And the most, the one near ahead is the 2027 general elections. And Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya believes that anyone looking for a future behind the back of Wetangula, Mudavadi, or at least looking at them for political direction is a lost cause. And he believes that other people can offer that solution for Western Kenya. So I want to understand, is this a self-endorsement from the part of George Natembeya, or indeed Moses Wetangula and Musalia Mudavadi all offer zero political solution for the Western people?
Well, let us look at it broadly. If Donald Trump wins in America, Donald Trump is 10 years older than Wetangula. No, more. Wetangula is 1 year older than me. Donald Trump is approaching 80, which means Donald Trump is 12 years older than me, and therefore 11 years older than Wetangula. And is slightly more, is about 15 years older than Musalia. I usually say, don't write a political obituary of any living politician until you are dancing on their grave after the burial. Abdoulaye Wade became president of Senegal at the age of 80. The other day, Biden became president of America at the age of 78. So it's not the question of somebody's age. It is somebody's relevance. And it's dangerous for you to use age or youth as a factor for you to cause change. There are many people who have caused change when they are old, like Swarto. People like Jomo Kenyatta. He became president at the age of 72. And he did a lot of transformation in this country. Go back to a country like South Africa. Mandela was over 80. And he did a transition that's still being accepted today in Africa. So at times, because of lack of experience or lack of exposure, we make statements based on our narrow lenses and our myopic thinking. Somebody like Natembea, who has a master's degree in anthropology, I would have expected him to be well heeled in issues of people's cultures, people's behavior, and certain transitions that come to society. Some changes can happen within a span of 2 years, and it will be a different Kenya. Others may happen within a span of 10 years. So if he's a scholar, because somebody at least at that level of education who has served in the provincial administration, now is going for his second term as governor, should be slightly more informed and not excited. I think it is informed by juvenile excitement of George Natembea, my governor of Trans Nzoia.
Do you also think it was an attempt to self-endorse himself for the bigger seat, the presidential seat?
Well, if he wanted to do so, he should also improve his PR. What happens local goes national. Today, you cannot fault me on the issues of tribalism. And if you want to aspire to national position, subordinate your tribal feelings. Natembea as reluctantly wanted to subordinate his tribal feelings about the rest of us in Trans Nzoia. He's in my party, but I don't approve some of the behavior that he displays when he's in the midst or people he believes to come from the same lineage as he is.
Glad that you've dropped the conversation about you being a member of the DAP party.
Yes.
And we've seen DAP pronounce their position that they are on their way out of Azimio. And further to that, party members have endorsed Eugene Wamalwa as their presidential flag bearer in 2027. I want to understand these two things. Does Eugene Wamalwa come on board as the person with bread and butter for you, members of DAP? And also, don't you think this early endorsement is gonna further crack further the cracks within the new outfit, the opposition outfit that is Wiper, DAP, and that entire union?
Well, there are a number of things. In politics, at times it is like a family meeting. As you discuss very serious things about the future of the family, another child will slap the other. And there will be a bit of commotion that will make the meeting temporarily sort of stopped for purpose of focusing on the immediate crisis that has arisen. And therefore, expect people to be excited, to say many things. Some behave like this is the only thing. It may be useful, but it is also one way of mobilizing. Remember, in the run-up to 2002, there were 8 or so suitable presidential candidates in Kenya upon retirement of President Moi. But in the process of trying to get one candidate, all parties were clamoring. We started with Ford Kenya, DP, NPK of Charity Ngilu, and they could not see eye to eye because each one of them had run as a presidential candidate in the previous election. On the other side, the Kano team, there was Raila Odinga, there was George Saitoti, there was also people like Kalonzo Musyoka, who was a minister in Kano, and many other people, including the late Joseph Kamotho, the late William Olentimama, and many other luminaries who on their own right qualified to be presidential candidates. But it took a lot of effort to midwife that process and reach to the conclusion that Raila, one evening, without the rest of us being fully informed, declared Kibaki Tosha, and that became a rallying call. So all these stories, let's listen to them. We've seen it before. You know, one time...
It's not a new script for you?
No, it's not a new script. One time we went to see Mzee Kibaki, and I think we were 5 ministers. It was Dr. Mukisa Kitui, Dr. Mukisa Kitui, Amos Kimunya, Raphael Tuju, Let me be careful so that I remember. Those I don't remember. I think the other one would have been Mutai Kagwe and I. We went to see the president, and we were telling him about our friends in the opposition who are now moving away towards Orange. That why do you still retain these people in the government? Why don't you sack them?
Do away with them.
Yeah, do away with them. He told us, that we'll do later. But you find 5 ministers going to a rally and they talk about the same person. One minister after the other, they stand, they talk about the same person, they talk about the same person. Now, you are turning this meeting into that person's meeting, because the fellow leaving the meeting will be asked, these ministers who came here, what did they say? They said a lot of things, but what I remember, they talked about the other person. Now, because all of us were condemning Raila.
True.
So, we were creating many Raila's meetings and now propagating that Raila is the man in town and is serious alternative to our president. So, also, some of these things that we do here, we should be careful, otherwise we are promoting other people's meetings.
True.
That's why I never refer to some of the guys that that I don't have time for.
That would be giving them undue airtime.
Yeah, undue airtime. And also making them feel that, okay, tumemtwanga mpaka amesema kitu.
Responded.
He has responded.
All right. Yeah. Finally, before we cross over to Heroes Corner segment, I want to understand, now that we've seen the DAP party pronouncing its position when it comes to where they are marked in the opposition of the day, and also they're already talking about 27 politics, their preferred flag bearer, that is Eugene Wamalwa.
Yes.
For Eugene Wamalwa, he's your close friend. How soon should he dance to this endorsement?
Well, I know him. He's a very wise leader, and he's very cautious when he makes decisions. I've not discussed with him, but it's also good for people to know that even as in DAP, we also have a presidential candidate, so that if we were to endorse you tomorrow, it is not out of lack of a candidature. It is it is the need to come together to a common front. Yeah,
it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Very well. That point by former Minister Kipruto Arap Kirwa takes us to the wrap of today's conversation, discussing a raft of issues in the world of politics and governance. We've dissected issues arising from Mount Kenya vote bloc. We've also crossed over to Western Kenya, and also we've addressed matters of national interest when it comes to the conduct of President William Ruto. Is he gonna herald better fortunes for us as a country? You've heard it from the think tank himself, Kipruto Arap Kirwa. It is at this point that I give you the brand new segment that you all have embraced so quick, that is Heroes Corner, with Honorable Kipruto Arap Kirwa. Today, when so much is happening globally, US elections, our president is still promising so much for us back here at home. Who is our Shuja for the day?
Well, Shuja is a young man born in 1924.
1924?
1924.
All right.
Somewhere in Baringo County.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it could have been about September. But of course, some of the dates may not be so accurate because there was no register at that time.
So, unto us, a boy, someone was born in 1924?
Yeah, a boy was born in 1924. Yeah, somewhere in Rift Valley. By then, it was still part of Uganda.
Oh, really?
Yeah. See, it was changed later on, I think 1926. That is when now the King George II, in his pleasure, he said all this parcel of land from Naivasha all the way to, not Namanga, Malaba, will now be administered from Nairobi. That's how we became Kenya. It was being administered from Kampala. So they changed, and that's how we became Kenyans. Otherwise, you and I would be Ugandans.
We'll be Ugandans.
Under Museveni.
All right, I see.
But it would have been a better deal than to be under William Ruto.
No, you can't say that. You can't say it. You need to be patriotic to your country.
No, but
and pledge allegiance to your president.
Allegiance, has he pledged allegiance to the people of Kenya?
Really? Come on.
Yeah. This young man went to Kapsabet Boys High School
Uh-huh.
after herding his father's goats and sheep for quite some time. Perhaps it was at the age of 9, 14, because those days people used to go to school late. Became later on, he went for training as a teacher after standard 8. By then there was the old standard 8, then it came standard 7. Then now we've gone back. I don't know, you call it year 9 or year 10. These young people know. And he trained and went back to Kapsabet as a teacher.
Oh.
Later on, some guy called Tameno resigned. And they needed a leader of the Great Rift Valley. And he was nominated as one of the members of Legislative Council.
Legico?
Legico. Represented Rift Valley from Namanga all the way to Lokitang or Lokichogyo. The entire Rift Valley province as were known before promulgation of 2010 Constitution. He fought for elections in Kadu. They lost to Kanu. In 1964, they dissolved the Kanu and moved to Kadu and moved to Kanu. And subsequently was appointed Minister for Education. Upon rapprochement between the elders from Rift Valley and those under Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. In 1966, he was elevated to the position of Vice President. For 12 years he served in that capacity until the demise of the founding father of this nation, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, in 1978. I think it was 22nd of August 1978. By then, we were on school holidays, being a Form 2 student.
Then?
Yes, I was in Form 2. But I was 21 years in Form 2.
All right.
That's not the issue.
Okay, let's go back to this bouncing baby boy born 1924. Here, 1978,
Yes.
founding president dies, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta.
Yeah.
What happens to this boy?
He takes over as the president of the republic. And subsequently, he stayed for 24 years. Now, why do I give him a lot of appreciation? He's a man of transition. He was able to transit from multi-party system to one-party system, grow in that system, take care of that system, and he was also able to transit from one-party's dictatorship to multi-partyism in the year 1991 through Kasarani passing of removal of Section 2A for Kenya to be again a democratic multi-party state.
Drop the bang aside. You're talking about the late President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi?
No other. So the first transition was to one party. Then when Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, we were worried when he passed on. Many of us were worried, and those who were in town by 2 o'clock, we were back to the base, wondering what will happen to us in the absence of Jomo Kenyatta. Then we went to the road. Whenever we saw any car coming from town, we stopped. How is town? They told me it's okay. They told us it's okay, because we were terribly worried. Now, Mzee Moi was sworn in the evening about 6 o'clock, and he was given the 91 days or 90 days to which a transition can take place. That was a very trying moment. So there were a number of delegations going to him, and we were saying, I'm now talking as a Kalenjin, we were saying, kama Wakikuyu wanataka kuchukua hii kiti kubwa, aje huyu mzee mahali yuko. Eventually, the Kikuyus became magnanimous. That's why at times when you mention people in a derogatory way, I get a bit jittery. If it was not for the team around the presidency, led by the late Charles Mugane Njonjo, the late Mzee Mwai Kibaki, and other people who realized there was need for us to have change with continuity and stability. That's why when we talk tribal, we don't seem to realize good moments other people have done for us. Then Mzee Moi transited from one-party dictatorship to multi-party system. And he was able also to realize it is time to leave this town. He gave himself 2 terms because he said, the 14 years I have served as your president, we did not have this new constitutional arrangement. Now, this is the beginning of the 10 years, the two-term principle that we have now in our constitution. And at the end of the day, he had his own candidate, President Uhuru Kenyatta. But he decided, upon Uhuru Kenyatta losing the election to Mwai Kibaki, that it is greater to hand over peacefully to the people who have won the election. He came to Uhuru Park, handed over powers, apparatus of state, and left for Kabarak. That's why I call him a man of transition. It is not easy to transit. I know somebody like William Ruto, if he lost the second election, which he is likely to lose, he might stick around until we evict him. That's my worry. He will behave like Trump in the last election.
He might stick in town?
He might stick in town. But anyway, we have enough people to evict him.
You're talking about the likely, in the unlikely event or likely event that he becomes a one-term president, what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But look, there's a correlation between his presidency and that of the former president, Daniel Arap Moi.
Yeah.
Many believe that Moi's leadership was the epitome of state capture, dictatorship. But we have seen sort of remnants of that in today's regime. And that is what has come from you this far on these shows, that we have a dictator in town. Do you still hold that position that we even have a worse dictator than during those days?
No, I think Moi operated under a different constitution. Because even the detention without trial was enshrined in the constitution. But abductions, if there were any abductions, there might have been one or two. But this one, we've had the highest number of abductions within the last 2 years. If you give him 24 years, abductions will go beyond 100,000.
What about state appointment? You say that it's only Moi who did put his tribesmen on in state lists. Do you think this government is worthy the praise on inclusivity in government?
No, it is not. It is not worth, because even at times when you go down to the tribe, which he comes from, is the same tribe I come from, it is more of cronies being given positions of leadership. It is not about the quality of the people being appointed into those positions.
The place of merit?
It's a question of merit. It's a question of, it's supposed to be merit. But these people don't merit those positions. They are given just because of certain conveniences that they display before the boss. Yeah.
Lastly, about our Shuja, Daniel Arap Moi, he did much for this country. Yeah. But during his leadership, we saw a denominator that seems to be present in today's regime, having a total man around you as the president. I mean, then we had people like Nicholas Biwott. Now we are seeing many speculate that Farouk Kibet is even the bigger advisor to the president than his council of advisors. Why this SI unit comes to the presidency of William Ruto and our Shuja Moi, having that constant guy who is a total man?
You know, the so-called total men are people I call make-believe. Even President Moi, yes, might have listened to the wise counsel of Nicholas Biwott. But President Moi had also another system where he used to have regular delegations going to him. Out of the 42 districts at that time, which is now the current counties, no time would a month pass without 5 delegations going to see President Moi with the accompaniment of the local leaders, some of them ministers, some of them small people like us. And therefore, that is how he was getting the pulse rate of the nation. So that what he does not get through the formal system, he gets through that informal system. And remember, President Moi was very consultative.
He was never an advisor to him, to his advisors?
No. He had capacity to listen, and he had a human face, and he was not a businessman.
Is that missing in President Ruto? The human face?
The human face is missing. Capacity to listen is allergic to. And the third is a businessman by excellence. That's why Adani, Shisha, G2G, all these things are happening today. How can you say you are looking for a Mwindi to give you 95 billion when the company itself is making 36 billion per year, declares as profit?
He says, you men of little faith in his vision are taking concern with his agenda.
If he has any vision at all, he visualizes what he will grab next.
You have to stop it at that, because you don't want Mheshimiwa to end up in court one of these days ahead. We're not sure if you can raise that legal fees to take on the president.
I will get
Can
from Ndego Njiro. Pro bono.
Pro bono services.
Yes.
Remember, when a monkey is destined to die, all trees are slippery. You might call him, he might not be on the phone that day.
Willis Otieno.
All right.
Yeah.
You squared me on that. Yeah. Until we do this again next time, do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Waziri, thank you for splitting time.
It's my pleasure.
We pray that you be polite and quite soft on our president next time on the show.
Well, but he has also to tone down on these excesses.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not telling him anything new. He knows that he's doing things excessively. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Until we do have this again next week, do enjoy the rest of your viewing.